Welcome to the Science of Gratitude podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Valerie Mukanga, and each week we'll explore how gratitude transforms our lives through powerful stories and insights. Let's dive in. Thank you for tuning in to the Science of Gratitude podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Valerie Mukanga, and I have a very special guest today, Dr. Anita Lwanga, who's going to share so much about her fantastic story that I know is going to inspire all of us. I say all of us because I get to sit at the front end of this story and just, listen and be encouraged myself. So, Dr. Lwanga, would you please introduce yourself?
Okay, as you mentioned, my name's Anita Lwanga. My parents are originally from Uganda, but I was born in Kenya. They had to leave because of civil war, and I spent most of my formative years in Western Canada and Saskatchewan. I've lived in many places besides Canada and Kenya. I did the first 2 years of med school in Cayman Islands. I did the last 2 years in Florida, and I worked or did some of my training in Chicago, worked in upstate New York, and then found my way back to Canada, to my hometown in Canada. So I call myself a global citizen. Growing up, most of my friends were from all over the world. I remember hanging out with different friends and people looking at us and being like, are you guys like from the UN, just like as a joke or something? Because see me, maybe an Asian guy and a hijabi girl and like a Caucasian guy. And, it was not about, our backgrounds. It was just like, we all got along. We all enjoyed ourselves. So I enjoy hanging out with people from all over the world, from different parts of the world. And I think that's pretty much sums it up. I think I'd say, despite my diverse experiences, I'm a pretty simple person. I enjoy the simple things in life. I enjoy minimalism. I enjoy just sitting there and having coffee with my friends. I just enjoy simple things in life.
Wonderful. And let me ask you too, like, what kind of doctor are you?
I'm an internist and a geriatrician. So internal medicine doctors take care of adults with various medical problems. So in general, depending on where you are, 17 plus or 18 plus. And then geriatricians focus on taking care of adults that are 65 years plus. So I don't do geriatrics exclusively, but there are some things we have to take into consideration as people get wiser. Well, most of my training was in the hospital. Right now, I've shifted my practice more to outpatient care. But my goal is usually to keep my patients, healthy, active, and out of the hospital by optimizing the way, they eat, the sleep, their exercise, and then of course their medications. But I really think it's important to focus on the basic things we have control over, which are so powerful.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Absolutely love it. I love the fact that you are trying to get the people to stay out of the hospital. That's a thing. So, Dr. Lwanga, please let us know, in your own terms, right? Like, how do you define gratitude? What does that mean to you?
Gratitude in simple terms to me just means looking at the things that you're thankful for, the good things in life. It can be something as amazing as, say, if you're fortunate enough to win the lottery, that's spectacular. Or somebody left you an inheritance, that is spectacular. But
Yes.
even just the peace and the quiet, like if you can just walk through the park. I was walking through the park a couple of days ago and I'm like, wow, the trees are blooming and the blossoms smell so nice. I haven't smelled this in like over a year. So just being even thankful for something that seems simple as that, or even just feeling like the sun. I live in Canada. It's been cold. So summer and winter are still fighting. I think 3 weeks ago we had 1 week where on the Tuesday it snowed. On the Friday or Saturday it was plus 30 for you guys. Is close to like 90 some degrees Celsius so in a few days to go from cold to hot. So I mean, yeah, be thankful for the cold. I'm like not always a fan. I have to remind myself, be thankful for the cold. It reminds you how wonderful the heat is. So even just thankful for the feeling of the sun on your skin. Thankful for your family members. So I've found this practice of like trying to remember first thing in the morning 5 things I'm thankful for. It just brings so much joy in my heart and makes life much lighter, even if there are things that are challenging. If I can remember, okay, I'm thankful for, even if I have my coffee or my tea, I'm like, thank you. This is nice. Is there the sugar in there? If I have one with sugar, I'm like, thank you. I get to have one with sugar, just like being grateful for that. Not necessarily saying thank you to anyone else, but just enjoying the moment.
Yes.
That's what gratitude means to me.
I love it. So now you talked about the fact that you write down 5 things that you're grateful for. What is one of the things that you're grateful for today?
Wow, I think this morning, something simple that I'm grateful for is as odd as it sounds. I was not feeling well last week, and I took time off because I'm like, I don't need to spread my cold
Right,
to everyone else. So I
right.
was thinking to myself, I'm thankful that I have control over my schedule, that I can, say I'm not
Mm,
feeling well, and I'm also so thankful for my staff who took the time to call the patients and reschedule.
wow.
So I can keep going. Like I'm thankful. Yeah, definitely thankful for all the things my staff do for me. I'm thankful for even just the ability to rest and to sleep in and to start feeling better. I'm thankful for the day. I'm
Yes,
like when all of this is gone. I'm thankful for
right.
good health. I've been so fortunate not to have a cold for like over 3 years. So I'm like, even though I'm,
Wonderful.
I'm getting over this cold,
Yes,
I'm so blessed to have good health.
yes. You gave us more than one. Things to be grateful for. I love it. I love it. Because the thing is, I think that once you start going, you start discovering other
Yeah,
things that you're grateful for. That's beautiful.
100%.
Yes. So now, please, doctor, would you please tell us a little bit about your gratitude story? What is the story that you wanted to share with us and our audience today?
Wow, when you asked me this question, I was like, where do I begin? Because there are definitely so many things in my life to be thankful for. But the
Yeah.
things that came to mind, especially in the last 12 to 24 hours, I am
Mhm.
so grateful for my mentors. I grew up
Mhm.
in a family that was Christian, like my parents, pushed, not pushed us, they also encouraged us to grow in our faith, but
Yeah.
to make my faith my own. It was the mentors and even inadvertent mentors that really influenced me. I was just thinking of my first couple of years away at college. I think I started college when I was 17. So I
Okay.
moved to a new city, and I mean, maybe I thought I was responsible. I was not responsible. As a 17-year-old living in dorms, I mean, like, thank God, like, we started in dorms because, you know, it's good to have those kind of training wheels. But
Yes.
one mentor in particular, her name was Siobhan. So I went to a church on campus, and Siobhan
Yes.
was very peaceful kind of person. Like, I just always remember how, she didn't really talk very much, but she was
I
always so
see.
peaceful, just had this presence about her. She didn't have
Mhm.
to say much, but her example, just in just being who she was, just being
Mhm.
confident in who she was, and her quiet leadership really made an impression on me. And in terms
Yeah.
of my journey, in terms of like learning how to speak in tongues, she's like, okay, so she just showed me the Bible verses. She's like, you can go pray about it. Like, she didn't make a big fuss about it. I think probably if
Right.
she had tried to make it more charismatic, I might have been like, but it was just like, okay, sure, let me go. Like, I'm like, Siobhan, she's cool. She's a piece. Like, she makes
Yes.
this whole Christian thing seem like not, so extra. Not
Yes.
not to discount the people that are extra. I love my extra friends for sure, but being more of like an introvert, just to see her and
Yes.
how she had this confidence and this peacefulness. So
Yes.
even to this day, like, I'm still so thankful for her, because if she hadn't told me about the gift of speaking in tongues, my life for sure would have taken a very very different trajectory. And then even more recently, we have a similar mentor, Dr. Una. So
Right.
her sharing her life. I think yesterday she released a video about God's plans for your life, and I had to go to sleep because I'm like, it was getting late, but everything she was saying in there was hitting me, and I'm gonna have to go back and watch it. But
Yes.
I had this question about, like, when you're trying to make your goals happen, or plans, like some things you can't really seem to make fit, or
Yeah.
you have this goal is so abstract. So
Mm-hmm.
I was watching the part of the video yesterday, and something that she said was that she speaks in tongues even for hours until she gets the
Mm-hmm.
download. I was like, okay, so that's what I need to do, because it's like
Mm-hmm.
certain goals I have. I'm like, I mean, we're almost halfway through the year, and it
Mm-hmm.
still has not quite sunk in. So that's
Mm-hmm.
just one thing she said. But I mean, I've been working with her, as my coach for years now, and I think
Yes.
my life has definitely taken a different trajectory. It's not just in the
Yes.
spiritual aspect,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean, like, even organizing my lifetime management, running my
Yes.
business. Like, she's one
Yes.
of these people that the mentors you just in her being and doing, who she is, and doing what she does. I
Yes.
don't necessarily talk to her face to face that frequently, but it's
Right.
more like through the one to many mentorship, and then even the
Yes.
videos she puts out. So, and also
Mm-hmm.
her reminding us, you can have mentors, you don't necessarily have to be able to see them face to face, but
Right.
if they put out teachings, and these
Mm-hmm.
are free teachings that are
Mm-hmm.
giving you lessons that are so valuable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's incredible. So I'm so thankful for Those two mentors in particular came to my mind, but many other
Yes.
mentors, my parents, my aunties. There's
Hmm.
so many people who have said things, and even without saying, just being who they are.
Yes, even without
Yeah,
saying.
yeah, they're mentoring me, so I'm so thankful for that.
Yeah, I mean that's truly truly true to be completely redundant. In fact, guys, Dr. Una is she's our mentor, Dr. Luanga, and I met in fact in that mentorship program that she holds, and so she's a physician. She's also a pastor. She in fact has a podcast called Success by the Book that I highly recommend. She also has a prayer line every morning at 6 a.m. called Arise and Shine, and all those are on YouTube. And I mean, those things have truly transformed my life as far as, with Arise and Shine is knowing how to pray things in a very practical way, because
Hmm.
sometimes we have the tendency of over spiritualizing things, and I say it in quotation mark because
Hmm.
things are spiritual. Everything that is seen begin with something that we do not see. But I
Hmm.
mean, you just get to learn how to be, even how to, as Dr. Luanga was saying, you make your plan, you plan your goals, and then after that, many times during prayer, she's like, take your plan, your notebook where you have all of your plan in all 9 areas of life, and zoom in on one that you really want to see, or one that's really giving you a hard time. And on
Hmm.
that one, you're just going to pray and pray and pray and pray. And while you pray, all of a sudden you start getting ideas. That's the download that Dr. Anita was talking about. You start like, oh, maybe I should do this, or maybe you see some pictures of something. And that's just, God's way of answering your prayer. Sometimes it happens quickly, sometimes not necessarily, but by praying through, um, those things, you'll see that things are going to start lining up, circumstances are going to be lining up, or even you find some good partners, or some help some way somehow. And that was done through the mentorship, and even with that podcast called Success by the Book. It's very, very practical, so showing you, for instance, yesterday I was also listening to her. She had a live that she was doing with a sister named Laura, and it was so good. It was so good. But they talked about like Abraham, how Abraham was prosperous. There was a question that was posed about prosperity and prosperity gospel, and she's like, I don't understand that question, because when you say, as Christians, are we supposed to be prosperous? It's like, as Christians, are we supposed to be healed? As Christians, are we supposed to be saved? It comes in hand. So prosperity of the soul is a thing, prosperity. And then she went into Abraham and Isaac, and how the Bible says that they were very rich, and they were not just talking about spiritual wealth, but also, material wealth, and like, even financial wealth. So that was really good. And so, as you say, mentors, that's very, very important. I too, in my life, more than other than Dr. Una, have other mentors that I truly believe, Dr. Anita, that if I didn't have the opportunity of being mentored or coached by these people, I would not be where I am today.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Hmm. It's incredible how somebody's knowledge, like sharing their knowledge, can expedite your process of achieving your goals.
right, 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 right. So, what would you say to someone who does not believe that they need mentors, or who does not think it's that important? What would you
I
say to
think
that person?
I would reiterate what I just said, in that having a mentor will help expedite the process
Yes.
of achieving your goals. I'll give you another example of another mentor I have.
Mhm.
So when I got my first job working after being in residency, you have your money, you can order whatever you want to order. So I was
Uh-huh.
ordering all this Instacart, no, not Instacart, Uber Eats. What's the other one? Anyways, it escapes me. So I was ordering all this food that is not very healthy for you.
Right.
So I put on, and I was not as active, so I put on some weight. So I'm like, I'm gonna get
Yes.
healthy. I am gonna, work out. So I was doing these crazy hit workouts that are super stressful on your body, working night shifts,
Mhm.
rewarding myself for my admissions with like all this sugary food. And then I was trying to lose weight, but the more weight I tried to lose, the more weight I'd gain. So finally, I
Wow.
got myself a nutrition coach,
Mhm.
and he broke it down, made it so simple, and I lost, I think, 35 pounds in like a few months, like I think like 4 months. And I've been
Wow.
trying for years. I've been trying for years. And I was like, I was shocked. I'm like, this is the power of mentorship. Like,
Mm-hmm.
he made things so simple and so practical. And
Yes.
I was like, man, I should have just found you a long time ago instead of wasting my time. Yeah,
Yes.
so that's an example of how instead of like something that I could not accomplish in 3 years was done in like a
Mhm.
few months. So think of other things in your life. You're trying to get out of debt. You've been trying for like 5 years. What if you talk to somebody and they give you a few keys that are very simple and not
Mhm.
complicated, and your goal is accomplished? You're paying them money, yes, but you're paying them the money for that experience. That
Right.
experience, their knowledge is probably going to be worth more than the money that you spend. It also
Mhm.
depends on you. You know, you of course you have to put in the effort, you have to apply the information,
Of
but
course.
when you get the results, you'll be amazed. And same with us, like doctor coaching with Dr. Una. Me being a business, like owning my own medical practice,
Mhm.
wow. Without the guidance, I
Mhm.
would be completely lost. Like, yeah, it has its own ups and downs in addition to being a physician. As you know,
Yes.
running your own business is not a joke.
It's not.
So, yeah, but having somebody who's like, okay, this is normal, like normalizing the challenges you go through
Mhm.
and also
Mhm.
giving you guidance,
Mhm.
you can weather the storms. So, go in summary, getting a mentor will help you get to where you want to go faster, and
Mhm.
it'll give you the ability to weather the storms, because you know, inevitably we have challenges on our way to getting, you know, where we're going, but
Mhm.
the coach will be like, I've seen this, so this is what you do when X happens.
Yes, thank you so much. So I'm jotting down some questions as we're speaking because this is interesting. Now, let me ask you this. If someone is now convinced or felt the need of getting a mentor, what would be your advice as far as knowing who to seek for or how to go about, looking for great mentors?
I love that question. I think it's very wise to be selective in who you let mentor you, guide you, and speak into your life. So
Mhm.
watch them. If they have any social media presence, listen to their material. Are they
Mhm.
saying stuff that's in line with your beliefs that makes
Mhm.
sense? They're Are they producing results? So
Mhm.
even in their own life, like if it's like if you see my nutrition coach, this guy has amazing arms, like super ripped, and he's like, oh,
Yes.
I only lift weights like 2 days per week, maybe I work out 3 days. Like he doesn't overdo it. And
Yeah.
the thing I liked about him is that he's also wants to get well. There's too many things, but his program is sustainable. So he's like, I want you to use this program, and your success is that you don't necessarily need to come back. Like, you can reach out to me when as needed, which is incredible. Not a lot of coaches do that once you're so-called done the program. But he's like, I want you to be able to reproduce the results in your life. If you regain the weight, you know what to do to lose it, which I mean has happened to me. But I'm like, I know what I need to
Yes.
do to get back, and
Mhm.
I'm able to do that. And another thing that I liked about him, I'm one of these people who, like, people be like, you eat too many vegetables, you eat too much like healthy natural stuff. Like, it
Yes.
is what it is. Like, you know, I
It
grew up
is
in
what
a
it
family where
is.
like my mom was like, you're not eating out, you're eating home, like home cooked food. So I like that his plan was very based on natural foods. It wasn't supplement heavy. He's like, no, you're gonna meal prep. You're gonna cook your chicken. You're gonna cook your broccoli. You're
Mhm.
gonna eat your vegetables. So after watching him, I'm like, okay, he has the results. I've seen him, you know, be interviewed by other people who have the results that I want. His
Yes.
philosophy lines up with mine. So it was like a great fit. And then same with Dr. Una. I was like listening. I was laughing at myself, but I was like stalking and listening to her podcast. Not necessarily stalking, but listening to her podcast for like a year and a half. And I'm like, why didn't I join sooner? Like, I was just listening, and I'm like, do like
Yes.
one or two things. I'm like, I'm one of these people who's not in love with social media. But
Ah,
before I own my own business, I started because she's like, even if you work for somebody, you need to have your own presence, you know, your own brand, start building your own
right.
brand. And then
Right.
just the results she has in her life, I'm like, wow, she does all these things and she's so calm. I'm doing like less things and I'm stressed out. I want to be calm. At least with the little that I have on my plate, I want to feel like, you know, at peace. So I'm like, I
Mhm.
better take notes. I better listen. So after listening and listening and listening, I was like, okay, let me jump and, you know, try get enrolled in this. Watch your mentors, see that they have the results that you want, and then
Absolutely.
see that they're able to get other people results. And as you listen to them, even if they're not doing something online, even if it's just in person, watch their lives day to day.
Mhm.
If you're looking for a mentor, say with you know, managing your family, like, how are they with their family? Do their kids
Right.
seem, you know, chilled out or stressed out?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
so I think watch them. So those are the three things I'd say.
Wonderful. So watch the people, and I guess they be based on the area that you want mentorship for. So you may need not just one mentor, but several mentors, depending on the areas where you feel that you need their help. So now another question I came up with is, do you think, some people, like I hear, and that I hear many people, I go to a church that's really big, a mega church, if you will. And many people I meet, they say, I wouldn't want to go to a mega church because I need to see the pastor. And that's the same case on like coaches, right? There's a lot of people who feel like they want to have that one-on-one attention. Do you think that, what do you think about that? Is it crucial in order to be well mentored to have that security or
I
yeah.
think it depends on you as an individual, and it depends on the
Mhm,
circumstance.
mhm,
I think it's good to have some one-on-one attention, but
mhm,
I think you can learn even so much more from being in a group setting.
mhm.
Giving the example of our coach Dr. Una, one to
Mhm.
many model. There's probably at least 100 of us in the a lot of the calls, and
Yes.
we might not speak to her directly, but
Right.
Valerie asks a question, and I'm like, oh, I have the same problem. I might be too shy to ask, and I'm like,
Yes,
oh,
you're
okay.
listening.
Yeah, yeah. Then I'm like, okay, now I can apply it to myself. Or even if I don't have that challenge at that time, somebody else
Mhm.
might say something that even if I don't use it, I can share it with somebody else, and I can be like, oh, like to my colleagues, or even my I have like other business owners. Like one of my sisters owns her own interior design studio. Like the books we're reading, I was like, you should read this book. I think
Mhm.
it'll help you. So you can also use that information to share with other people, and look at how much richer it makes our lives. So going back to your specific question, do we need one-on-one or one-to-many? I think it's also good to have that one-on-one. I think that one-on-one brings accountability. So even going to a big church,
Yes.
I'm sure there are small groups. So
Yes.
in that point of time, you can talk to your small group leader and say, this is a challenge, or this is, something I need a little bit more help with. So your small group might be in touch. Sorry, your small group leader might be in touch with the pastor, or they may have a
Mhm.
model where it's like multiple people mentor multiple people, and it's like kind of like a multiplier effect. So just
Yes.
by the fact that they say have somehow contact with your pastor, would be able to say, okay, yeah, I can't handle this. Let's go talk to the pastor together, and you feel more comfortable, because sometimes some pastors, especially if you go to a big church, you can be a little bit intimidating. Or some mentors, you can be like, wow, this person has like, 5,000, like, or like however many. Like even Dr. Una, definitely when I first started, I was like, wow, I'm not gonna say this woman is so amazing. You don't want to sound stupid, but having other people around who are sharing makes it a little bit easier. So I think
Right.
the combination of both is essential. If you go to a big church, try and find a small group. Even
Mhm.
if you're not comfortable, try find another smaller way of having other people disciple you and lead you.
Yes, you know what just popped in my head right now as you were saying that is that, for us, talking about our Lord Jesus Christ, right? We were not part of this one-on-one attention, but the fact that he was able to share, his experience with the 12. I mean,
Hmm.
and was even closer to three of them, of the disciples. And now the 12, just like, the message has been spread and is reaching us. So we didn't see him in the flesh. And granted, with the help of Holy Spirit living in us, we have that one-on-one. But the same thing is like the messages that we're reading in the word are so effective still. So even if you are in a church, I'll say, and you are not necessarily able to see the main or the senior pastor one-on-one, doesn't mean that you're lost. But if it doesn't also mean that everybody belongs to a huge church, and God has different ways of ministering to his children. Some of them he wants in a smaller setting, some of them he finds like they need to be in a bigger setting. It's just all about, but you can grow either way. You can grow either
Uh,
way.
a
Yeah,
100%, 100%. It's just a matter of where you feel that you fit. Like you
completely.
don't want to just go to XYZ church because it seems like the right place to go, and that's not necessarily where you're called to be.
Right. I agree with you. So now, one last question I have is, I don't know if you've mentored anyone in the past. Okay, thank you. I'm glad you have, because then the question that I have for you is, what should a mentor, what are some key points that a mentor should look into for the people that they want to mentor? So what does a mentor need to be like, or, those kind of questions is what I
I
have.
I love that question because there's so many times I've mentored, whether or not I mean to mentor. And I
Mm,
think during our training, I think our training is quite similar. When you're doing, say, your residency, you have people who are, or like junior students who are underneath you or training with you. They will ask you questions. So they're
mhm.
watching you. They're watching, okay, even something as small as, how are you interacting with other staff members, so
Yes.
the thought that came back to me was residency. So I remember some of the senior residents who were so kind to me, and I'm like, I just say something so silly, or I did something and I was so stressed out, and they're like, don't worry, we'll fix it. And I'm like, you're not going to yell at me? They're like, no, don't worry.
Yes.
Yeah, so just that, them modeling kindness and grace to
Yes.
me
Yes.
made me do the same. So as a senior resident, there's some different personalities. Of course, you have to work with different personalities. So
Right.
in the moments when I was frustrated, I remember the people who gave me grace, and I'm like, okay, they gave me grace. Give them grace. So I think as a mentor, it's so important. Even if you feel like the person you're mentoring is not, necessarily learning or taking
Yes.
anything in, or even if they're blatantly rude. Some
Yes.
people, might just be have their own challenges in life, and they're not gonna treat you necessarily respectfully. Just be
Right.
gracious, be kind. Remember the people who are kind to you and how much of a difference that made. You will
They
make an
do.
impact on that person's life. So I think that's the first thing. Be kind, be patient. Remember, you don't have to know it all either. I think it can
Okay.
also be quite intimidating to think of yourself as a mentor and be like, oh my goodness, I don't, know everything.
Yeah.
It's okay to say I don't know, but I'm going to find out. That also teaches, inadvertently, the people you're mentoring, humility. Because I think no
Yes.
matter who we are, we all have to be humble. So,
Yes.
yeah, thinking of some of even my supervising physicians would be like, oh, I don't know. Let's find out together. And then I'm like, oh, it's okay to say I don't know. Oh, this is where they go to find the information. And then I'm
Uh-huh.
like, I can do that as well. I don't have to be
Yes.
like be on top of everything. It's okay. We're humans. We're all, humans. So I think those are the most important things I'd say.
And what would you say is the place of correction for a mentor to the mentee?
Again, I think you have to use discernment. You
Mm,
definitely have to use discernment because thinking back, there were situations where people were like blatantly rude, and I went to like their supervisors. Like I'll go straight back to residency. I had like I'll try not to. I'll keep it generic. So some challenges with some interns, and I went to talk to the chief resident, and they're like, "This is what's going on in their personal life," and I was like, "Oh, I'm so glad I just kind of overlooked that because I
yes.
was not happy with their behavior." But I'm like,
Oh, I
yeah, they
understand.
have bigger challenges. So
Mm,
I think tread carefully. You can correct, and I think even if you have to correct for sure, say if it's like definitely something that needs to be corrected, like somebody's doing something dangerous or completely
yes, yes.
inappropriate, I
Right.
think you can do it in a kind manner. It's also important to confront as soon as possible, be direct.
Okay.
You can't let everything slide. So that's why I say
Mhm.
use discernment, because there's some people, okay, maybe there's another personal issue going on, or maybe they just not listening to you and they don't want to listen to you and they want to do their own thing their own way. You can say it nice and be like, oh, I noticed XYZZ. This is, should be done XYZZ way, and then ask if they have questions. And
Yes.
even still, if some are like, I don't care, you're like, okay, note to self, this is maybe not somebody that I need to invest in. Maybe you're supervising them, but you're like, okay, they're not going to listen. I don't need to invest extra in them. And then there'll be others who have an amazing attitude who are like, thank you so much. Then you're like, oh, this person is teachable.
Mm-hmm.
They have a good attitude. They're very, humble. So those are the kind of people I like teaching. I'm like, oh, they're teachable. Okay. I can continue to pour into them and give them extra tidbits of information because I see they're interested, they're eager. So yeah, discernment. Use discernment in knowing who to correct, who not to correct, when to correct, how to correct. And even for those who are like on another train, not interested in what you're saying, there are times when you have to step it up and be like, this is not good.
Yes. I'm laughing, Doc, because I came up with another question, though I said that was the last question. But then
Go for it.
I love how you say the person is teachable. So along the teachability, what are some other characteristics of a good mentee? Because yes, it's good to find a good mentor, but how then do you become this great mentee that's actually going to learn from what the mentor has to pour into you?
Yeah, I think in addition to being teachable, humble for sure. I think to me those are the kind of mentees that draw me. And then
Yeah.
the biggest um, pride that a mentor has is when the mentee applies what they're taught and comes back and
Yeah.
shows you. Like, for
Yes.
example, if they're like, oh, you told me XYZZ and this is what I did and this is what happened, you're like,
Yes.
oh, like you're just fan because you're like,
Yes.
yay. And then you want to
Yes.
continue to pour into them. So applying it and then going back to, either say thank you or to show them how things happened. Like
Yes.
it brings so much pride in that, you're sharing what you know and what you learn with the next generation. For me, those are huge.
Wonderful. Well, this was a teaching moment at the Science of Gratitude. I just love how this episode went. I learned a lot myself on so many different levels. So having mentors, that's very, very important. In fact, even biblically speaking, we have people in the fivefold ministry, and the Bible says that they are there to equip the saints so that they can actually do the work that they're called to do. So we are all called to be mentored. And at some point, also, we need to become mentors, because it also says somewhere in the Bible that you should by now have already been teachers, but you are still busy drinking milk. So it is that fine line. You have to be a good mentee and also be a good mentor, and I'm sure that the Lord will guide you accordingly. So thank you so much for coming on the podcast today, Dr. Anita Lwanga. I am so grateful, and I'm grateful for you as well as an individual.
Thank you so much for having me. This was a pleasure. It was so much fun. Always fun catching up with you. But I'm
Yes.
also so inspired by what you're doing. Like by
Oh,
us just having this conversation, we're mentoring people out there. They're gonna listen and they're gonna take notes. And as
yes.
you continue to do this work, I am cheering you on. You're mentoring people, you're teaching people, but I am super excited for what you're doing. I think it's gonna yield a lot of fruit.
Thank you so much. Coming from you means a lot. She's a great friend. So, Dr. Luanga, please let us know how, if somebody wanted to get in touch with you, where do they find you? I know you do great work. You're always putting out videos out there about, being healthy. How can people find you?
Well, I have to also shout out to let's talk about being thankful. My social media assistant, who is spectacular. She does all the work. Basically, I just like put my videos in a Google Drive and she does everything. So
Yeah, she does a good
um,
job.
oh my goodness, yeah. There's no way I would not do it without her. But on LinkedIn, I'm Anita Lwanga. On TikTok, it's Dr. Lwanga. On YouTube, it's Dr. Lwanga as well. And then on Instagram, I think it's at Dr. Lwanga, I suspect as well. So I'm not necessarily as active there, but if you message me, eventually my assistant will give me the messages and let me know. But yeah, those are the main places people can find me online.
Wonderful. And if we had to invite you another time on the Science of Gratitude podcast, would you be willing to hop on again?
Oh, 100%. This was such a pleasure. And even just the exercise of remembering and thinking who and what I'm thankful for has really made me happy. Like it's just like lifted my heart.
Wonderful. So, everyone, thank you so much. This will be the end of this episode. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you for the next episode coming up. I know that you've gotten a lot out of this. Please don't hesitate to subscribe. Please don't hesitate to, put in some likes and sharing the information. This is really, really helpful. And then somebody else can be encouraged as well. So, till we see you next time, be blessed. Bye bye. Thank you for listening to the Science of Gratitude podcast. If this episode resonated with you, please subscribe, share it, and leave us a review. Your support helps us keep spreading the power of gratitude. And until next time, stay grateful. God bless you.